Senator Chuck Schumer has taken the hard line against you-know-who's SCOTUS nominee, Amy Coney Barrett. But do Democrats really have any power to stop her from getting appointed? Please welcome back Senator Chuck Schumer. So, Senator Schumer, Republicans seem to have the numbers to make this appointment. You said you won't meet with Judge Barrett, which surprised me because you said her nomination is really illegitimate. But it surprised me that you said you wouldn't meet with her. Wouldn't it, even knowing how this is going to go, wouldn't it be better to sit down with her and really find out? Because you're not questioning her, I don't think, when she comes up before everyone else. So don't you think it would be a good idea to have a conversation with her so that no one can say, well, they wouldn't even meet with me?
Well, Whoopi, her views are so pronounced that I don't think meeting with her would change anything, and the process was so illegitimate that I don't want to validate it. But the number one issue here is how her views affect people, Whoopi, and that's how we're going to try to win this fight, uphill as it might be. Let me give you my little, what happened with me and my family.
Okay.
We were at our Rosh Hashanah dinner, our Jewish New Year's dinner, when we heard the horrible news, sad news, that RBG had died. Immediately, my daughter turned to her wife, who was sitting next to her, and said, I wonder if our right to marriage will be limited or curtailed. My other daughter talked about our little grandson, her son, and would the earth be in any place that he could enjoy it because Coney Barrett is so against anything on climate change. My wife remembered the days before Roe v. Wade and how women were in back alleys with street hangers, and we go back to that. And my mom was worried about her health care. She has a pre-existing condition, Parkinson's. Would she still get her benefits? So the only way we're going to win this fight, as illegitimate as what McConnell has done by totally reversing himself, is let the American people know that their specific rights are at stake. The ones I mentioned, rights of working people, they could get rid of labor unions. That's another case that all these folks have decided the other way. And if we do that, we have a chance to reverse 2 more Republicans when they go home and feel the heat. There's a huge national campaign over the next 2 weeks for the voters to let people know that Amy Coney Barrett, on her views, is so far away from the American people. And one final point, we get inspiration from RBG. She was in that male-dominated legal profession in the 70s and wanted to fight gender discrimination. Everyone told her, forget it, you'll never do it. She persisted and persisted and persisted and won. It's an inspiration to us to keep fighting, 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 and you never know. They didn't think we could win on the preventing them from stopping Obamacare. We kept fighting, and we did, so we're going to keep fighting.
But, you know, Senator, Mitch McConnell and the Republicans are frantically moving at record pace to get Judge Barrett's nomination through. So, you know, come on, what's the truth? What's the real reason they're pushing it through so fast?
Well, because the hard right, which dominates Mitch McConnell and the Republican Party, knows that they could never get these things done through the elected parts of government. You know, even when they had the House and the Senate and the presidency, they couldn't get rid of Roe v. Wade. They couldn't take away people's health care rights. We beat them in the Senate. But in the courts, the one non-elected branch, they might get these things done. And the justices they put on are far, far away from what average folks need and want. And Amy Coney Barrett is even more that way. She said she's going to follow Scalia's philosophy, which would lead to all of these benefits and rights to the American people being taken away. If Americans could vote on each of these things, these issues, they vote overwhelmingly against what Amy Coney Barrett believes. So we have to make the fight. It's an uphill fight, I don't deny that, but I wouldn't say it's over. 2 more Republicans can change, and you know, a lot of them are up for re-election, and their voters are saying, give us a chance to show how we feel at the election, and then choose the nominee.
Senator, we've been quick to point out the Republicans' seeming hypocrisy on the issue of appointing a justice during an election year. But the same could be said of Democrats. You were in support of appointing Merrick Garland during an election year in 2016, but opposed to President Trump doing so now. How do you respond to the charges that you've flip-flopped on this as well?
Well, look, it's all in Mitch McConnell's hands. Merrick Garland was nominated in February before an election. That was 9 months before an election, and he said no. That was unprecedented. All of a sudden, they change their own rules, break their own rules. It's now 30-some-odd days before an election. We've started the election. A whole bunch of people have voted already, and they do a complete flip-flop. It's, the Republicans can say blame the Democrats, but it's not us who's in control. It wasn't us who started with Merrick Garland and then totally reversed position when it came to Coney Barrett. And the American people are on our side. They think there's hypocrisy, and by a large margin, 15, 20 points, they think that we ought to wait till the next presidential election. We ought to wait for the election and then nominate the justice.
So, Senator Schumer, let me ask you this. Judge Barrett was confirmed to the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals in 2017 in a bipartisan vote after the American Bar Association rated her as well qualified. She graduated summa cum laude from Notre Dame Law School, clerked for Antonin Scalia, and has been a highly regarded law professor for over 15 years now. Given those credentials, do you believe she is qualified to sit on the Supreme Court?
Yeah, well, I think that's Martha. I can't see who's there. I'm just looking at a little camera.
It's Martha.
Here. Hi, Martha. I did recognize your voice. Look, it's not her qualifications or any personal characteristics about her. It's that on the issues I mentioned, a woman's right to choose and women's health care for all Americans. There are 130 million Americans who could have their insurance taken away or not being given new insurance because they have a pre-existing condition. The union movement helped build the middle class. This court and Justice Scalia and so many others were for eliminating labor unions and making America a right-to-work state. Climate. Look at what's going on with the fires now in California and recently the hurricanes in the Gulf. It's going to get a lot worse, and the people who have her philosophy have not gone forward on climate, but restricted Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act. She is her views on the issues, not her personal characteristics, which no one disputes. She's so far away from the American people, and it's a lifetime appointment. It could set America back for a generation.
Senator, this is Sunny. I don't know
Sunny.
that I don't think anyone should care. Hi, I don't think anyone should care that Judge Barrett is Catholic or devoutly Catholic. But I do wonder, because she did write that Catholic judges should recuse themselves from cases that involve the death penalty. Those are her own words, and we know that a Supreme Court justice can't recuse herself or himself from a death penalty case. What are your thoughts on questioning Judge Barrett about her Catholic faith and about her participation in what some are calling a fringe Catholic group called the,
I would say her personal beliefs, her religion, her religion have had nothing to do with it. It's her views on the issues that we must focus on. And that is the only path to victory, because as the American people learn, and as I said, for the next 2 weeks, there's going to be lots of tweeting and emailing and protesting about these views, they're going to feel that she's the wrong person for the court, and they might, underline might, be able to turn two more Republicans to vote to just delay. They're not saying how they'd vote ultimately, but they're saying delay till the next election, which was the position, as I said, of Mitch McConnell when it was 9 months before the election. But which was the position, the opposite of McConnell's position when she was 9 days before. He said when it was 9 months before, we should delay. Now he's saying don't delay. It doesn't add up. Doesn't make sense.